What was the most ridiculous ban at your school? Story 1. Bro, our school banned Yu-Gi-Oh cards over the dumbest, satanic panic meltdown imaginable. I'm not even kidding. Some PTA moms started spreading this rumor that a child in another country died holding a fiend-type monster card, which already sounds like something your aunt reposts on Facebook next to minion memes and anti-vax warnings. No country named, no kid named. Just vague, demonic propaganda straight from suburban wine moms with too much free time. And the school ate at EP. Overnight teachers were confiscating decks like we were smuggling crack cocaine through homeroom. I watched a vice principal hold up my summon skull card with this horrified expression like I'd summoned Beelzebub in the cafeteria, instead of just losing math class to depression and bad cafeteria pizza. Whole friend groups got searched because little Timmy had a blue eyes white dragon in his hoodie pocket. Absolutely insane behavior. Then years later, I find out one of the main moms behind the rumor was my friend's mom, because she just didn't want to spend money buying cards for her kid. That's it. That was the ancient evil corrupting America. Not drugs, not bullying, not the football coach screaming slurs at teenagers. Nah, a $3 booster pack from Walmart. Unreal. Story 2. Our school literally had to invent a whole new dress code section because of one barefoot menace named Tyler. And honestly, respect. Absolute generational hater behavior. See, the student handbook only said we had to wear appropriate shirts and pants. That was it. Nothing about shoes, no socks, no sandals, no, hey, maybe don't walk around the biology hallway barefoot like a post-apocalyptic cave goblin. Nothing. So Tyler, who had way too much free time and a personal vendetta against authority, noticed them on the loophole and turned into a legal terrorist overnight. Every morning, he'd show up wearing shoes, walk through the entrance doors, then immediately take them off with this dramatic little sigh, like he was finally returning to nature. Dude carried the shoes in his backpack all day too, barefoot through math class, barefoot through cafeteria mystery slop hour, barefoot in the locker room, which should qualify as a biological warfare experiment, honestly. I still get flashbacks thinking about that floor. Dear God, the principal hated him, like visibly. You could see this man aging in real time every time Tyler slapped his nasty hobbit feet down the hallway, but they couldn't do anything because, technically, the kid followed the rules. Word for word. Malicious compliance before any of us even knew that phrase existed. So, after an entire semester of this nonsense, the school finally updated the handbook with this ridiculously detailed shoe policy specifying closed-toe footwear must remain on at all times. Imagine being the administrator forced to type that sentence because one sarcastic teenager decided to roleplay as a free-range woodland creature out of spite. Honestly, iconic. Story 3. Our school tried banning Snapchat after fight videos started spreading around like NFL highlights. And when I say fights happen daily, I mean daily, like the morning announcements should have included betting odds. Today's cafeteria matchup has Jason from Auto Shop versus two cousins from sophomore gym, weather permitting. Absolute circus. The administration acted like Snapchat was the root problem too, which was hilarious. Not the fights themselves. Not the fact half the teachers looked emotionally checked out by second period. Nope, the true villain destroying education was apparently the little ghost app. Because obviously, if nobody recorded Brandon getting folded into a vending machine, then it basically never happened. Incredible logic there. Really Nobel Prize level problem solving. So they banned Snapchat on school Wi-Fi and started confiscating phones if they even saw the app icon open. Teachers were walking around like DEA agents hunting down yellow squares. Meanwhile, fights were still happening literally every day. Kids just switched to cellular data like normal human beings with functioning brains. One dude live streamed a hallway fight while a vice principal was actively yelling, "Put that phone away." Modern society in one image right there. The funniest part was how fast the school folded. They made this whole dramatic speech about restoring dignity and safety. And within 2 weeks, there were still 30 fight clips circulating before lunch. Honestly, banning Snapchat at our school was like putting a Band-Aid on a house fire. The building was spiritually collapsing already. The app was just the cameraman. Story 4. Our middle school banned Billabong shirts because the principal saw the word bong and immediately short-circuited like an NPC detecting drugs for the first time. I swear adults in schools hear one suspicious syllable and suddenly they think they're starring in Narcos. This was peak early 2000s skater kid era too, so half the school owned Billabong hoodies or backpacks. Totally normal surf brand. You'd see it in every mall next to PacSun, and overpriced chain wallets none of us could actually afford. But apparently our administration thought we were all secretly running a massive underground weed operation through 7th grade homeroom. One morning they straight up announced over the PA system that clothing promoting drug paraphernalia would no longer be tolerated. Everybody was confused as hell. Then teachers started pulling kids out of class over Billabong logos. Bro, I watched my friend get dress coded for a beach hoodie while another kid was literally drawing swastikas on his notebook in science class. Priorities. Incredible priorities. And the principal kept doubling down too. At one assembly, he tried explaining that bongs are used for illegal narcotics, like he was exposing some dark criminal underworld to a crowd of 12-year-olds whose biggest vice was microwave pizza and lying about homework. Meanwhile, half the kids went home and Googled what a bong even was because of him. So congratulations to the school. Honestly, they accidentally gave an entire generation their first drug vocabulary lesson over a surf company. The ban lasted like 2 months before parents complained enough to kill it. But for that brief magical window in time, our middle school genuinely believed Kyle's wave pattern hoodie was a gateway to cartel activity. Public education, man. Just pure, uncut chaos. Story 5. Back in middle school, our district randomly decided backpacks were unsafe, so they banned them completely and forced us to carry everything by hand like exhausted office interns trapped in tiny hormonal bodies. And no, they never explained what danger the backpacks posed exactly. Maybe they thought JanSport bags were going to rise up and overthrow the government. Who knows? School administrators operate on a level of paranoia usually reserved for medieval kings, so every kid ended up dragging around these gigantic case-it binders instead. If you don't know what those are, imagine a small suitcase designed by someone who hated children. Massive zipper binders stuffed with textbooks, folders, loose papers, broken pencils, expired lunch money, probably classified military documents at that point. Those things weighed like 40 pounds minimum. I'm pretty sure half our generation has permanent scoliosis because Principal Dipshit thought shoulder straps were too threatening. And the sound, dude. Jesus Christ. Every hallway sounded like a herd of exhausted pack mules, zippers ripping open, binders slamming against lockers, papers exploding everywhere, because one kid tripped over somebody's untied shoe and triggered a full academic avalanche between classes. You'd see loose worksheets floating through the hallway like urban tumbleweeds. Meanwhile, teachers kept yelling at us for being late. Sorry, Brenda. Maybe if I didn't have to carry the Library of Congress in my bare hands, I could make it to algebra faster. One time, my binder busted open on the stairs, and all my papers scattered everywhere, while people just stepped over me, like I died in combat. No one helped. Middle school really was just prison, with book fairs. Then after like a year, the school quietly allowed backpacks again, because apparently test scores did not improve after forcing children to roleplay as migrating donkeys all day. Shocking outcome there. Truly unpredictable. Story 6. Our school banned basketball because it was too competitive, which sounds less like a school policy and more like something invented by a defeated medieval king after getting crossed over in gym class. I'm dead serious too. Basketball was fully outlawed at recess. No dribbling, no pickup games, nothing. Administration said it encouraged aggressive behavior between students, which is hilarious considering the same school had zero issue with dodgeball, a sport literally built around publicly humiliating weaker children with rubber missiles. But apparently a layup was where they drew the moral line. Incredible stuff. And then there was the soccer rule. We were allowed to play soccer, but if the ball went above your knee, immediate punishment. Doesn't matter if it was accidental. Doesn't matter if the field had a bump. Doesn't matter if physics itself betrayed you in that moment. Ball goes knee-high, boom. 1 week of lost recess, like you committed tax fraud. So recess basically turned into this paranoid low-altitude prison league, where everybody was terrified of accidentally launching the ball too high. Kids would kick it and immediately start apologizing mid-play, like they were negotiating hostage terms. My bad, it slipped. Meanwhile, teachers stood around monitoring ball trajectory like NORAD missile defense analysts. Whole-grown adults dedicating their careers to stopping fourth graders from achieving vertical lift. One time my friend barely popped the ball upward trying to pass, and this lunch monitor gasped like she just witnessed an assassination attempt. Kid lost recess for a week. Over a soccer ball reaching kneecap altitude. Meanwhile, the actual bullies were out there emotionally waterboarding kids by the monkey bars untouched. Priorities were rock solid, as always. Honestly, I think our principal just hated joy in all forms. Probably saw children having fun once and took it personally. Story 7. My high school banned non-clear water bottles because students kept sneaking alcohol onto campus, which already tells you everything you need to know about the kind of educational environment we were working with. Real failing district with a football team budget energy. So the administration rolls out this dramatic new policy saying all bottles had to be transparent for safety reasons. They acted like they'd cracked some elite FBI-level criminal operation too. Whole assembly about accountability and student wellness, while half the teachers looked like they needed a drink to survive first period. And the best part, clear alcohol exists. Vodka exists. Gin exists. Half the liquids teenagers use to make bad decisions are literally transparent. The policy solved absolutely nothing. Kids just started pouring liquor into smart water bottles instead of hydro flasks. Congratulations, Sherlock. You've defeated crime forever. Meanwhile, the enforcement got ridiculous. Teachers were inspecting beverages like TSA agents at an airport. I watched a vice principal hold a student's water bottle up to the fluorescent lights like he was examining ancient alien technology. Yes. Appears to be liquid. Incredible detective work, man. Give this dude a badge immediately. And because schools love punishing the wrong people, the only students who actually got in trouble were normal kids carrying Gatorade or iced coffee in colored tumblers. The real troublemakers adapted in like 12 seconds, because teenagers are basically raccoons with Wi-Fi. You cannot outsmart them with container policies. Honestly, the funniest part was how seriously the adults took it. They genuinely believed the difference between sobriety and societal collapse was whether the bottle was frosted plastic or see-through. Meanwhile, Kyle was hammered in second period history sipping water that smelled like a failed country music career. Public school logic never misses. Story 8. My school got so terrified of offending literally anybody that they basically soft-banned Christmas itself. Like, I'm not exaggerating. Teachers weren't supposed to say Christmas anymore. Officially, it had to be called the Current Religious Festival, which sounds like less like a holiday and more like an active police investigation. Nobody even knew how to use the phrase naturally either. Morning announcements sounded completely deranged. We hope everyone enjoys the Current Religious Festival break. Bro, what are you talking about? You sound like an alien trying to blend into human society after reading one HR handbook. And they banned decorations too. No Christmas trees, no ornaments, no Santa hats. Nothing remotely festive. The entire school looked emotionally bankrupt by December. Just gray hallways, flickering fluorescent lights, and exhausted teachers assigning algebra packets while outside the rest of civilization was drinking hot chocolate and pretending Mariah Carey isn't holding the global economy hostage every winter. Meanwhile, students absolutely refused to cooperate. Kids still said Christmas constantly out of pure spite. Honestly, half the time I don't even think it was political. People just physically could not say current religious festival without sounding like a malfunctioning robot. One teacher tried correcting a student and accidentally said Christmas herself mid-sentence. The whole class burst out laughing while she just stood there, defeated like her soul left her body. The funniest part is literally nobody was asking for this. Not students, not parents, not teachers. It felt like the administration invented an imaginary angry mob in their heads and started fighting it preemptively. Meanwhile, our school bathrooms looked like scenes from a post-apocalyptic documentary. But thank God, nobody taped a candy cane to a locker. Crisis averted. Story 9. Our school banned trading cards because administrators decided they were promoting gambling, which is genuinely one of the funniest stretches I've ever seen from people paid with taxpayer money. Pokemon cards? Illegal. Yu-Gi-Oh? Criminal enterprise. Magic cards? Basically underground casino activity, according to the vice principal, who probably still thought dial-up internet was cutting-edge technology. They made this huge speech about protecting students from dangerous betting behavior, like little Ethan trading a holographic Charizard for 2 mediocre cards was one bad decision, away from owing money to the mob. Meanwhile, and this is the part that kills me, the school also forced everybody into these mandatory intramural sports tournaments every semester. Brackets, teams, rankings, full competitive setup. And apparently my friend was quietly running an actual betting ring around the games the entire time. This dude had books, handwritten odds, spreadsheets, side bets on dodgeball matches. He'd be standing near the bleachers, whispering point spreads to 7th graders like a tiny, exhausted casino manager. $5 says red team chokes in volleyball again. Absolute menace. And somehow the teachers never noticed because they were too busy confiscating Pikachu cards from children. That's what makes school logic so beautiful, honestly. Tiny cardboard dragons, corrupting America's youth. But an underground gambling operation centered around mandatory school athletics? Apparently invisible. My friend was basically running DraftKings for middle school PE, and administration was out here fighting dark magician instead. And the funniest part? I'm pretty sure his operation lasted the entire year. Dude probably made enough lunch money profits to fund college textbooks someday. Entrepreneurial, spirit thriving under pressure, the American dream, story 10. My primary school basically turned lunchtime into a minimum security prison cafeteria. No talking allowed. At all. Hundreds of little kids packed into this giant lunch hall, eating in total silence, like we were serving time for financial crimes, instead of being 7 years old, trying to survive fish stick day. And I mean complete silence too. Not inside voices. Not keep the noise down. Dead silence. The kind where you could hear forks scraping trays from across the room like some psychological torture experiment designed by Victorian ghosts. Every now and then, somebody would accidentally laugh or whisper for 2 seconds, and immediately all the lunch monitors would snap their heads around like velociraptors detecting movement. Looking back, it's honestly insane behavior, because lunchtime is literally when kids socialize. That's the whole point. Tiny humans need to talk to each other before they grow into emotionally constipated adults who think replying per my last email is a personality trait. But apparently, our school thought friendship during mashed potato consumption was a threat to national security. The lunch ladies enforced it hard, too. One woman in particular treated silence like a sacred religious duty. She'd patrol between tables with this terrifying 1,000-yard stare while 30 kids quietly chewed soggy peas in fear. Whole room felt like a hostage video with pudding cups. And the weirdest part? Teachers would later complain that students weren't bonding enough socially or developing communication skills. Really, Susan? Maybe because y'all spent 6 formative years training us to eat in complete silence like traumatized medieval monks. Honestly, the memory still feels dystopian. Just rows of children silently consuming cafeteria slop under fluorescent lighting, while adults monitored noise levels like authoritarian librarians. British public schools really do love taking normal childhood experiences and adding just a tiny sprinkle of industrial-era suffering to keep things interesting.